go out there and be yourself. Get in the face of the people who don't like it, because it's the only way it's ever going to change. We're not going to go away. And do you know what? We shouldn't have to. We hid for long enough.
Yeah.
That closet is dark and musty. I've no intention of going back there, and nobody ever should. And it's hard for people, I think, who haven't been there, who haven't had to come out, if you will. You can't explain to them what it's like. I am Chris Lovell. I am from Belfast. Probably need to talk slower so people can understand. I am 33, quite openly gay, interestingly, in a country where it's a bit hit or miss. Hockey fan, but that has its own story as to why.
Well, how did you get into hockey?
So that's a bit of a quick history. Where I live, there was a war going on for about 40, 50 years.
There was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
civil war.
Yeah.
So the Belfast Giants were founded in 2000, and their mantra, their tagline of the entire club is, "In the land of the Giants, everyone is equal." So it doesn't matter if you regard yourself as Irish, Northern Irish, British, gay, straight, whatever it may be, anybody can go in there, and at the door, you leave all of the nonsense from outside at that door, and you walk in there and you just be yourself. And there's just a community in there like no other. And the team's quite good, so it always helps.
And is it when you walk in, do people actually leave it at the door?
Yes, if you don't, you'll be ejected.
I like that.
And you'll not get back in. It's that simple. And it's not even security that'll do it. It'll be other fans. Fans just won't tolerate it. Don't get me wrong. There's a difference between not leaving it at the door and having a bit of banter. Banter is perfectly fine. I think it's the manner in which you do things. But
Completely.
no, if you don't go by it, then there's the door and away you go.
I like that. I like that it's not just the team upholding that, but it's individuals keeping other people in check and ensuring that the space is safe for everyone. I really like that. I think that's missing in the sport. What do you love about the game?
Well, when I was growing up, let's be honest, when people think of ice hockey, maybe people who don't go to ice hockey or don't follow it that much, when you think of ice hockey, you think of the old school enforcer, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And being an old goaltender, you would know it would be the rule of, you touch my goaltender and you're going to lose a bone, a tooth, whatever it may be. And I, to be fair, I'm one of those people in the stands. If anybody touches my goaltender, I'm standing up screaming for blood. But and then when I started to get into it, the speed and the skill is ridiculous. The hits, some of the speed in the hits, it's just baffling. Yes, people wear pads, but let's be honest, you're still going to feel it.
Oh, you feel it. You definitely feel it.
I being a goaltender, work, I don't know how you did it. With pucks coming 100 plus miles per hour. No, thank you. Not a chance. I'd have moved out of the way. I'd have been useless.
Yeah, they don't tickle, that's for sure. I've had some interesting welts and bruises in my time. Yeah. How could hockey be better for you as, a gay man?
Let's be brutally honest. Hockey, where I live, hockey is a bit of a minority sport. It's all about football, or for all yous across the pond, you would call it soccer.
Yeah.
Sport in general, and especially hockey over here, it's a very masculine sport, right? It's something that, I don't know if I can say this or not, but over here there's a somewhat derogatory term for a gay person, which is a fairy. it's not something that you would imagine somebody who would fit that description playing, and that needs to change. Because yes, it's a masculine sport, but you don't have to be masculine to play it. And I mean, we were kind of lucky. We had a gay pride night in Belfast the season before COVID hit. In fact, it was about a month before COVID hit. And just to see the arena full of flags, whatnot. The sad thing is, it was only for one weekend. But there needs to be a systematic change from the top, I think, because I've no doubt when you're playing, I've no doubt that players will use those derogatory terms. They'll call someone gay or whatever it may be, and that can't be allowed to go unchallenged either. But for me, it needs to be a game that everybody can play. Like, sexuality shouldn't come into it. Sexuality shouldn't matter in life, never mind sport, but it does, seemingly.
Yeah, and I think, that language is used casually, especially in locker room settings. And also something you touched on that I truly believe, the idea of less masculine gay or queer men being called fairies or being perceived as feminine. I think feminine men are the most courageous men because they are openly themselves unapologetically without knowing that they will potentially face harassment for it, and yet
absolutely,
they're still themselves. And I think that is so strong. That is stronger than any macho bro out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the most camp feminine person, whatever the word may be that somebody wants to use, but it's not that I'm not that way. It's just that's not me.
And
But
that's okay
that
too,
being said, after a couple of pints, that changes a little bit. Jazz hands come out, and the dancing comes out. But no, I think the more feminine people are probably the ones that have the most guts out of anyone. It's easy for me. It's absolutely easy for me. But those are the people that get my respect. And let's be honest, they're the most fun too.
Yeah, they are. What keeps you in hockey?
The community side of it, I think. Being where I am, it's one of the few safe zones for gay people.
That's wild, because here it's probably one of the least safe zones on the men's side, at least, for queer folk. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing is as well, over here, I don't know if people know, but the vast majority of our teams in the UK are Canadian or American.
Yeah.
We get a lot of AHL players, quite a few NHL enforcers who don't have anywhere else to go because it's going out of the game. But you wouldn't know it. I mean, I have openly signed It's Raining Men and whatnot, and been the campus stag and be in nightclubs with the team after we've just won a championship or whatever it might be. I mean, over here there's a mentality. It's probably different in the US and Canada, but over here, I mean, after a game, if you go up to the club bar, you will meet all the players. Will come up, they'll chat to you, they'll sign autographs, take photos. Yeah, both teams.
Yeah,
and you don't get that in America, I don't think. And like some of the nights out I've had after we've won championships or trophies, and that's what keeps me in it, is the fact that, yes, I mean, these people come from other countries, but they put on my country's jersey or my city's jersey, and they're doing something on my behalf because I'm not good enough to. Yes, they're getting paid for it, but they care. If they didn't care, our club probably wouldn't keep them, to be honest. If you're playing for the money, you're not playing for the right reasons. And that's why I like it, is that you can see after games that players hurt. And yeah, I remember myself, it's the big games that keep you in it, right? and the people you sit with. And I can openly remember having tears in my eyes at one point when we got to the final of a European Cup. And we were 2-0 down with 10 minutes left in the third. And we scored 2 goals within, I think it was in 65 seconds. And the place just went bananas. We lost in penalty shots in a final, which is penalty shots in a final in ice hockey is unforgivable. But I had tears in my eyes, and that's why you do it, right? You do it for the emotion. And no other sport gives me that. Football is boring. It's just grown men falling over. But yeah, ice hockey is just different gravy.
And I love what you said about the community and the players engaging with the community, because when I played over there, I'd never seen, like when I played in Europe, I'd never seen that before, where both teams go up to the bar after in the arena and have drinks, and you're having beers with the fans, and everyone's kind of engaging, and you're engaging with community members. It created a sense of community that you don't see in professional sports necessarily over here, that includes players the way it does fandoms. It was really nice to see.
I mean, we call it the Jim Gillespie clause in Belfast. It was an ex-owner who it was essentially in players' contracts that you had to do a certain amount of community service each week. So you had to, yes, you were playing on behalf of that community, but you were giving back as well.
Yeah.
And that's something. I mean, our head coach is a man called Adam Keefe. Some of the people who watch this might be familiar with his brother Sheldon. He's the head coach of the Maple Leafs.
I know Adam is. Yeah, he played junior in my hometown.
Really? Yeah, Adam's a scary man. Very scary man on the ice, but
tough guy.
If you've met him, he's just a gentleman off the ice, and that man does so much work for charity, so much work. I mean, he came here, and he was the captain in Belfast, and I would argue he was one of our best. And yeah, he's not doing bad coaching either. He's got 3 or 4 trophies to his name now. Wow. So yeah, he's making a name for himself. We're slightly worried that a team from Europe or the AHL might come and take him, but if so, good luck to him.
What gives you hope for queer people in hockey?
Well, because the Giants are kind of entwined with the community, I feel that the fact that gay people are accepted at our club, we kind of need to expand that, right? So it's not just the club. And the Belfast Giants, if they do nothing else, they do community. So that's eventually going to feed from the club into the community. And at one point, like, I love Gay Pride, as I'm sure anybody does. But at some point during my lifetime, I would love for us not to actually need it, but just to have it. But it's the fact that we still need it that upsets me. And that ultimately is the hope. And I think because sport's integral in society, let's be honest. So why can't we learn from sport that's inclusive here? And why can other clubs not look at where I live, Belfast, and our club as something to kind of build your own club on? Everybody needs to be welcome through the doors, whether that's America, Canada, wherever it may be. I think if even purely from a commercial point of view for clubs, if gay people or queer people don't feel welcome in your club, that's thousands of tickets you're potentially not going to sell.
And further to that, to your point, that they do a lot of work in the community, and all these teams do in some way or another. But they have, and that gives them massive influence that then could be used to change policy, and if they're truly on board with, inclusion and whatnot, like is gay marriage legal there yet?
Yes.
Just recently, though.
Well, it's kind of complicated. So the way the UK works is each country, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, has its own separate government. So our government is essentially run by not to be respectful to them, but a very hardline religious political party. So they were never ever going to pass gay rights. But the government here collapsed. So Westminster in London took over because they're the main government, and they passed it in abstention of government here. But the DUP, the reigning party here, have expressed an interest in removing gay marriage in Northern Ireland again.
And
It's just
that's
bizarre.
terrible, but it's groups like the Giants who could step up and, you know, use their influence for support of, and to ensure that, you know, things stay inclusive and that rights are kept.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a hard one where I live, because you kind of want to keep the sport out of the politics, right? Especially here, given how volatile it kind of is at times. Yeah. But I mean, if anything's going to do it, it's going to be our club, and it's even if the club itself isn't involved, even the fans can get together and they can make a difference. Because at the end of the day, we're the ones who put these idiots in power. So, you know, if it needs to change, it needs to be us that does it. I mean, you can complain about the party that's in power, but we put them there. So, yeah.
Completely. Well, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, it's somewhat upsetting to hear that queer people probably aren't as welcome in the US and Canada, which is bizarre, given it's probably easier to be more open in America and Canada than it is here on the street. But then in certain areas, it's kind of a taboo subject, which is quite sad. I think go out there and be yourself. Get in the face of the people who don't like it, because it's the only way it's ever going to change. We're not going to go away. And do you know what? We shouldn't have to. We hid for long enough.
Yeah.
That closet is dark and musty. I've no intention of going back there, and nobody ever should. And it's hard for people, I think, who haven't been there, who haven't had to come out, if you will. You can't explain to them what it's like. It's a fear that you can't explain it. So yeah, go to hockey games, be yourself, get your pride flag out. If people don't like it, that's up to them.
That's powerful words and a great way to end this. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.